Gunfire's too slow to fuck around like that. Hey guys, it's Merrick, and I've got another gameplay commentary here for you today. In this one, I'm playing Planetside 2 on VS with the Ursa. The Ursa is a long-range, high-accuracy LMG similar to the TMG-50. Like the TMG-50, it's got a mostly vertical recoil burst pattern, and I'm running that with the forward grip and high velocity to make sure I have the easiest time in the mid and long ranges where we both know I'm going to be shooting at shit regardless of if this gun was set up for long ranges or not. Other than that, I'm running Survivalist and Flak Armor because I've been doing a lot of head-on engagements, and in recent gameplay time, there has been a significant increase in the uptick of vehicles involved in fights. But with the loadout out of the way, let's jump into the game. I couldn't spawn here manually, and there weren't a whole lot of fights going around, so I used Join Combat, and it actually dumped me at what at first looked like a 50-50. But after a few seconds, I realized that the point is already lost, it is completely flipped, so I make my way towards point and clean up a few stragglers on my way there, before I get taken out and have to go somewhere else already. I wish I could have been here a little sooner, because this looked like it was an even fight, but shit happens. Continuing this exhilarating and thrilling start to a session, I make my way over to Bravada PMC compound, which looks like it's an overpop situation and I expect a lot of people to fight, but I get there, run around the entire way, only see one single person, and redeploy out. My quest for violence takes me to Skade High Dock, where, after leaving spawn, I do manage to accidentally flank somebody, but I don't see anybody for a little while as I get onto point. But when I start to move down to the other point, expecting this to kind of be a dead cap, I clear out a sentry turret, only to see another light assault floating by. I'm seeing a few people here, so it seems like there might actually be a fight. I go to push down, see another guy on my right that I have to get into an odd engagement with. Somebody else picked up the kill, and as I try to push towards point, I manage to just get murdered by a light assault that I didn't see or hear. I push back towards point A, kill somebody immediately upon dropping down. As I try to engage a farther out target, there's a different light assault. I run it back, but this time I go over the rocks and get onto point A to clear that out. I pick up one person who's out of position, and then as I do my repeak, I get a significant amount of hits. I should win this fight, but then I forget how my hands work, stare in disbelief as I cannot believe I let this man get away, and then stand still as someone murders me for free. As I come back around again out of spawn, there is a dervish that is unnaturally close to the ground. I give it a Desi and introduce it to an anti-vehicle nade, and it promptly departs the scene. And as I turn around to shoot the guy that was harassing me while I was doing so, seems like somebody else cleans him up, thankfully, and we're able to get away from that. A res nade drops on point, giving us another few free kills, and as we clean those up, I'm able to then push back down towards point A and clear out the rest of this area. As I push towards point B, I'm able to pick up somebody who's out of position and wound up engaging 3 or 4 people at once, and then as I go to actually check the point itself, it seems like it's completely clear, so I go out the back and try to push towards what winds up being a Sunderer. I catch one person off spawn, and then there's another guy in the distance I see that I am able to also pick up. Doesn't really matter because before I can turn around, a light assault does spawn, jump over the rock and kill me, and by the time I push back down onto point, there are people on point B. I manage to clear those 2 out, and then thinking it's clear, I go to scratch my nose only to see an infiltrator run by. I panic and grab my mouse, but I don't get to it in time and I die for free. Obviously outskilled. Pushing back up to point A, I see the point is flipping, so I drop a nade to make people move around as I'm initiating, and I wind up getting a flank on them as somebody else is actually trying to peek the doorway. I chill as the point begins to flip, but I see some guys pushing up on the minimap, so I swing on him preemptively, get the pickup on the first guy and see someone in the distance, manage to actually get that one too, and then I start to head off to point B before I see more people on the minimap, decide to swing around the other side of the point A, I suppose building you call it, and get a nice flank on those guys as well. I only managed to get one of the 2, but it seems obvious they have some kind of a Sunderer over in that direction, so I head off to the side to try to get some high ground and see if I can't get more vision. But then I see somebody else on the map, and I quickly wrap around and pick up the flank on him as well. I initially intended to push towards the Sunderer, but I hate pushing towards Sunderers when there's actually people out fighting, because I think that's a cheesy dick-ass move. So I see people on point B, and I decide to go flank those guys and clear them off the point instead. I get a flank on an unsuspecting heavy, which is just as well because I take way too many shots to kill him, and as I go to push in, there's a medic that comes in and tries to get the pickup on him. He commits way too hard to the res instead of just engaging me, so this poor heavy eats the res while I am just here waiting for him. Again, my hands fail me because I'm old and decrepit, but I managed to get the kill as somebody else off to the side does show up too late to save him. As I respawn, Red has been pushed back into this singular tower with their Sunderer, This is one of the only situations I'm okay pushing Sunderers, is when you push the enemy back to it, rather than avoiding the enemy to get to the Sunderer, but it's fine, because I promptly look into where the Sunderer is, play poorly, and die. By the time I get back up, the fight is gone, so I actually head back to Bravada PMC compound, where there is a large blue point. I managed to do some parkour to get a nice angle, but I only pick up 2 people in what should have been a much nicer opportunity for kills, as I'm getting cleared out by a mana turret. By the time I respawn, there's been a huge pop dump that actually clears out the point, so I quickly run around the compound, clearing up the last of the stragglers, and I see a spawn out in the distance, but traditionally, if their spawn is not close to the point, you don't have enough control to even push the point, which is why the spawn is so far out there, which is why you'll see me complain and not spawn if a Sunderer is too far from the compound. As such, seeing that they have a harasser and what looks like a hidden spawn out there, I don't bother waiting for them to try to push from it, because if they're not close enough to take the Sunderer garage, and with this little amount of pressure I'm seeing versus the large pop dump, I know this fight isn't going to pan out. I rotate elsewhere and see that there's actually a biolab fight. The only thing I like more than biolabs are containment sites, so I quickly make my way there. I'm initially heading towards point B, but then I see doesn't look like there's a whole lot of red pop on the minimap on the infiltrator scanners, so I actually head towards the choke point to see if there's actually a fight here or not. I find a few people coming through the doorway, which leads me to believe there might be a slight fight, and then someone slots a nice headshot through those bars to take me out. When I respawn again, it's obvious that there is actually pressure on this gate, and we have a nice shootout happening. I'm playing forward because I feel like if I stay too far back, other people will take my kills, but I don't want to swing too far out because I'll expose myself to too many angles at once and will absolutely draw a lot of fire. My plan was to play a forward because I wanted to make sure I was able to get kills instead of some of the other people floating around here, but upon review of the play, I am absolutely too close to this gate, and if there were to be a pop crash or a swing, I would pretty much die for free and not be able to do anything. Thankfully, I position poorly, don't keep track of my ammo, and I die before that becomes an issue. Once I get back, it's obvious that the pressure is now split between the outside gate and the teleport room on the side. I can't do anything about that teleport room, but I really want to keep pressure on this gate because that's where most of the people are going to be at. But I can't ignore this room behind me because that's just asking to die for free. Ideally, I'd be able to hold the situation until somebody else or more purple pop can float in and hopefully start paying attention to that so I don't have to. But for now, I just move back and forth between the two, slotting tight shots over these angles. Like I said, the Ursa is essentially a purple TMG analog, so if you keep your burst patterns tight, it's got very low recoil, and it's actually very well suited for these exact type of engagements. When you're taking these fights, especially through this outer door here, you want to make sure you're making it very prompt. Because even if you only see one person that you're shooting at, there's always a chance of an infiltrator being in stealth or someone peeking another tight angle that you don't exactly see because you're focusing on your crosshair and who you're shooting at. So even if you're doing well and getting kills, you want to get a short fight, back off, give it a second, take a short fight, back off, etc. I rotate around to make sure the area is clear, and because I took a big hit and suddenly came under some pressure, but once it's cleared up, I work my way back up to my same position to start holding the choke yet again. On my way there, though, I check my corners, and I do see somebody coming out of the teleport room. I manage to get that clean up, and then I get distracted by a dude in yellow camo that I thought was an enemy. He's not, but as I go to look at him, somebody does push up close on me. Thankfully, the purple dude next to me is a Chad and saves us both. I'm holding the same position still, but this is probably one of the clearest examples I'll ever be able to give of what I've said many times, which is where you want to take short engagements, back off, and re-engage. Normally, I don't have the self-control or patience to do this kind of thing, and you'll see me after a few really good fights from a really good position, suddenly shift W into no man's land and then wonder why I died. This is obviously not perfectly played, but this is definitely a better example than most I can provide on how to work a favorable angle when you have a good position. A light assault had snuck by us, and I went to chase him down. I didn't get the kill, but after chasing him down, I decided to do another clean sweep of the area. I rotated around a little bit, and after I returned to the front, I managed to die to somebody coming out of the spawn room. This triggered a chain event where I was not able to get back to my good position, took a few terrible deaths in bad spots where I didn't really get a whole lot done, and then instead of trying to push back to the front because it seems to have collapsed, I actually just started pushing back up towards point B. While this is not exactly a very tight angle or a very clean fight, this is an example of why I take Survivalist in forward-facing fights, because I do take damage that breaks my shield, but I don't have to pop a med kit because the Survivalist does top me off because I took such little amounts of damage. This is also why if you don't have Goblin Brain when running Survivalist, you should basically disengage immediately upon taking damage in an unfavorable fight, to maximize the chance that you're just going to lose your shield, and the Survivalist will save you from having to use other resources. And if you time it well enough that you actually don't take damage after your shield breaks, not only will you get that nice heal that might top you off again, but the speed boost from Survivalist will give you a really, really powerful re-engage. I throw a grenade and some harsh language at these guys across the way in Banana, but when they don't re-peek, I actually rotate around expecting more people to be leaking in from the teleporter or the southeastern choke/gate. I rotate around and I don't initially see anybody, but as I check the skinny stairs, I see someone getting shot at. I'm able to clean up a guy down on the first floor, and as I'm moving around again, I see dots on the minimap that are going to point C below us. So I drop and help defend the point. I thought there was going to be a little bit more pressure there than there was. I only find one person when I drop down, but I do clean that guy up, and then I begin rotating around, seeing if this fight is completely over or not. I was just about to judge it being over when I head back towards the teleporter and southeastern gate, and I get flanked and taken out immediately. I do shuffle away at first, but as I re-engage, I don't actually check my close corner thinking that somebody else had already killed him, and I just die for free. I do get res, and I am able to take up my same position, and we're back to using the Ursa for what it's good at. Medium range, precise shots, as I'm able to slot some shots over some tight angles and get people taken out behind cover. I don't want to overextend between the amount of people out there and the fact that there are maxes. It's nice to have something to shoot at, but it can be a real bait to be putting damage into maxes while someone's looking at you. If everybody shoots at maxes, they will die promptly, but you really can't rely on that in a random, not organized situation. You should still put damage into maxes, but don't overcommit to them expecting them to actually die, because you are relying on other people to also be putting damage into them. If you take short engagements and throw damage on maxes without overextending, you will continue to apply pressure, and anybody else that also does so will just amplify the pressure and prevent them from pushing up even if they don't actually die. I rotate back in an attempt to get some reloading after I try to chase down that infiltrator. I do manage to pick up some other people that were flanking around, and then I'm able to take up my same position, and there's a lot of people on that tight angle. I would love to sit here and fight those guys, but there's unfortunately a light assault that has my number and is going to be a real dick about that position, so I have to be very careful to not overextend. Ideally, I want to hug this back wall, because then if I get hit by the light assault up there, I can crouch and cut off his angle as best I can. It doesn't really matter, though, because if he does see that I'm damaged, or if he does catch me at the wrong time, I'm kind of just going to fall over instantly. Or if he does do a little bit of damage to me and I crouch and he decides to commit, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Really just got to hope that somebody else can clear him out, because I'm not a light assault. I can't get up there to do anything about it. Thankfully, he doesn't re-peek immediately, so I get back to my job of trying to clear these guys out on these tight angles, but I'm always trying to be aware that he could be up there, and I'm looking for any sign of him on any minimap pulses. There's not really a good response to this guy being up there. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. Basically, I have to hope somebody else can clear him out, or I have to completely abandon this position and take up a different angle. I'm too fucking stubborn for that, so I just eat a free death, and thankfully by the time I come back, it does seem like somebody else has cleared him out. But when I take my peek, I'm too greedy, try to throw a rocket as well, and I just fall over immediately. I've got to start bringing this video to a close, as we end with 62 kills in 26 minutes. This session was a little bit of a shorter one, but I got to show an actual decent example of how you should fight and hold and work a corner, which normally I don't get to do because Goblin Brain demands Shift W. I don't think I got to point out as many mistakes as I normally would, but I promise you there's way more in there than I pointed out. Hopefully these were adequate examples of why Survivalist is good, how to utilize it, and how to do these tight corners, fights, etc. But as always, let me know what you do like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you think so I can improve these videos moving forwards. Thank you guys for your continued support, and I'll see you guys next time.